Welcome to the Knowles Development Podcast, an exploration in leadership development. I am Brad Knowles, your host. Now let's dive in. Welcome to the Knowles Development Podcast. Thanks so much for joining us. Again, this week we've got a special guest, John Hatcher, the Hatcher Group up here in Portland, Maine. Welcome.
Hi, Brad. How are you?
Lovely, lovely. Thank you for joining us. Really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
You guys do such a great job. Huge book of business. Give us the 30-second or 60-second who John Hatcher is, what the team is.
Well, Brad, I've been in the business for 35 years.
Good start.
Good start.
Right.
And started out as a sole agent,
Yeah.
and back in the day when we didn't have teams,
Right.
and did not have the model.
Right,
and now
right.
that we have all these models, 20 years ago, I started a team, and
Yeah.
it grew, and I've had great support from you and everybody else in the company.
Beautiful, yeah.
And right now I have 3 offices. I have my
Yeah.
main office, expansion office in Kennebunk,
Yeah.
and then I have the office in Florida.
Love it.
Orlando.
Love it.
So, and have a team of 18 people now.
Yeah, 18 people. Wow, that's awesome. And one of the things I know, and it's really our topic today, is we don't build a big team like that without having a core group of people. And that's what I really wanted to talk about today in terms of this leadership conversation of how important that core group is. And just wanted to touch on maybe 4 or 5 key aspects to your core group, specifically within your business, within the thing that you're really trying to lead the most professionally. So that's our topic today, and we're just going to dive right into it. And one of the things that came to mind for me, John, was how important it is actually that those people really know you. And I can think of one thing for me personally where I end up having strong professional relationships, but they don't tend to lead into my personal life very much. So I found that as I bring people into that core group, I actually need to warn them about that. I'm just like, we're not going to be hanging out a lot. We're going to work really hard together when we're working, but then you're going to go do your thing and I'm going to go do my thing. So what are some things that people really need to understand about John Hatcher if they're going to be in that core group?
Well, Brad, it's important to me to have people within the office. Surround yourself with people that you really like.
Yeah.
However, you have to keep it professional,
Right.
and you don't want to hire somebody that's going to be your best friend,
Right.
because that does not work.
Right.
So for me, I have a number of people, and I think most people should have at least 5 people in their inner circle that really can help guide them. And for me, I have different people in my circle that do different things for me. So, for instance, I have somebody that really is like my cheerleader.
Yeah.
Every time they see me and every time we talk, and we talk on a regular basis, they want to know how I'm doing, what I'm doing, and where I'm going.
That's great. Right. That's great. So they're really filling that role for you, and they understand that's really important for you.
Absolutely.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
And always staying positive, and I'm a positive person, as you know, and just really trying to help support and ask what can they do for me, not what I can do for them.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Second part, trust. Really found that for people in the core, how important it is that obviously there's a two-way street to trust, and we did a podcast on that, and go check that out. You'll love it. But really, you trusting those core people, right? And having that kind of out of the gate, but also really having that be something that's sustained. What does that look like for you with your core people in your business?
So, as far as trust, the people that I have, I trust them that everything that we do is going to be confidential. That not tell your inner circle, they tell the world.
Right.
So it's that trust has got to be is so important to me that whatever I say to them stays confidential. It stays between us, and vice versa. I mean, I'm that way. I have mentored a lot of people and have been in other people's inner circle, and I really feel that there's a limit to how much you can expose the world to what you're discussing.
Yeah. That confidentiality piece, such a core piece to the trust conversation. I know for me, one of the ones, we've got Daniel who's doing all of our filming here, and is just backbone of Knowles Development. And I remember, I think it was first day, first week of giving him all my banking information for the business, because, in my head it was if I don't trust you with this, we shouldn't be in business together.
Absolutely.
You know, so it's kind of an all or nothing kind of a thing on the trust fund, on the trust side, I find. And for me, a big one was the financial side of it. Like, there's no secrets, there's no skeletons in the closet. Here it all is, you know, that kind of a thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And again, what I find is that when I tell people something and that they are going to also support me as far as knowing that they remind me that it is confidential, and tell me more.
Right.
Not just stop at there's no limit to what I explain to them and tell them. And I do the same with our clients. It's the same thing. It's like they have to trust us. And they have to believe that we are going to keep everything confidential.
That's such a great point, because if you only give me part of the information, let's say I'm in your inner circle and you only share part of the information with me because you're somehow guarded because of our relationship, then whatever value I'm trying to add isn't going to be as effective because I don't have all the information.
Absolutely.
If we really trust each other and everything's transparent, then the feedback or whatever contribution I have can really be as effective as possible, which is obviously going to help the teams, going to help the business, everything.
Absolutely.
So,
and I find that as being in the business as long as I have, that when we have clients that don't tell us the rest of the story, so it's a reminder to me on a weekly, monthly, yearly basis that we have to be honest with each other, and I have to expose myself basically to the people that are in my inner circle.
And isn't it funny with the clients that when you get into one of those relationships and there isn't trust there, it ends up coming out. Like, it always ends up rearing its head somehow.
Absolutely.
So it's always better off, like, let's just start with this relationship of trust. And I think as a leader, that's really on you, right? You have to start by showing the people on the other side, whether it be inner circle, client, vendor, you name it, that you trust them. And in so doing, you're going to earn trust back. So let's keep moving here. And because one of the things I found with inner circle is it's so important, I think, that they challenge us. They challenge us to be the best version of ourselves. So I'd love to hear maybe how you've experienced that with your inner circle.
So accountability.
Right.
So it's all about accountability.
Yay.
And that they're challenging me to be a better at what I do, or to reach the goals that I've made.
Yeah.
So it's a matter of, it's like one of the things, as you know, my goal is to have 16 weeks of time away. Can't say it's on vacation.
Right.
Time away at my home in California.
Yeah.
And people challenge me. It's like, well, why don't you say 24 weeks?
Right.
And so pushing me on a personal level for my personal life. Then, as far as Dottie Bowe said to me, when I can remember 6 years ago at a convention, that she said, "What are you going to do next year?" And I said I was going to do 50 million.
Right.
And she wrote down 65 and said, "Put that in your pocket." So again, somebody that has been a mentor and a good friend and a coach to me over the years. But again, she said, "No, that's not enough."
Right.
So challenging me that way, and challenging me as far as expanding the business, and then challenging me on a personal level as far as as you know, I'm very committed to fitness, and then it's like, well, you're going 5 days a week. Why don't we go with 6 days?
Right. Yeah. And I think that again, if you think about the counterbalance of challenging you to be better with that place of trust. Right? The Dottie example I love, because you see people from time to time kind of throw out flippant stuff, and it doesn't really mean anything. Like, you say 50 and they're, it should be 100, it should be 40 million, it should be, whatever, right? But when somebody's in your inner circle and you really trust them, and that trust is a two-way street, when they look at you and they go, 65, you realize, dang it, they see something in me I have yet to see in myself, and then that starts to percolate. It really starts to affect how we think.
Absolutely.
And I think that to me is such an important piece of this whole conversation, is allowing that to happen, right? That yes, obviously we're going to benefit in lots of ways, the people who are in our inner circle, but we're going to get so much from it.
Right. Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And I love that example of that.
And then the other thing, Brad, I'll just add to that, is they also are cheerleaders.
Right.
And they also celebrate the success. And if they also, the accountability of, challenging you to do 65.
Right.
Those are old numbers.
Right.
However, it's a matter of, it's like, keeping me accountable. It's like, well, why didn't you do it? How could you do it differently? And what could you do? I mean, that's all good coaching. However, it's also not saying you're a loser because you didn't achieve what your goals were. Right. But celebrating the success and saying, well, we need to celebrate that.
Yeah, that's great. And I know when we get busy and we really get focused on our stuff, it can be challenging to slow down and have those moments of celebration. So that's great to have people in your world that do that with you. Couple more here before we run out of time. I really find that the people in our inner circle are people not only that we learn from, but they learn from us, right? It's almost a symbiotic relationship. It's certainly not a one-way. It's not you're almighty and on high and here, let me, bring my wisdom down to you, but it's a very two-way street. How have you experienced that with your core people, that two-way learning?
So one of my core people that I've had a great relationship with for many years has been a client, and basically he said, I have to figure out what I'm doing with my life. So he brought together core people, additional people, and he basically, he trusted me to be honest, and he wanted to have it, stripped down, everybody be honest with him, just like I want people to be honest with me. Right. And he basically, I was really very honored that he would confide in me as much as he did. Yeah. And also he brought in other people at the same time, so it also was a learning experience for me.
That's great. That's great. And isn't it interesting how, again, I know we talk about it a lot in our conversations here, the willingness to be vulnerable, right? I mean, that's what I just heard in what John just said. Like this key person in his life brought John in as a core member, but it really came from a vulnerable place, a desire to learn, and one of the beautiful byproducts of that was your learning too, right? And you're probably able to now look at that and go, oh, hey, how do I apply the lessons I'm seeing for him into my life? And yeah, so it's awesome. Last one, I find that the core group is really a group that we relish spending time with. That we need to enjoy our company, having fun together, all that kind of stuff. So we're talking big numbers and success and lofty goals and all that kind of stuff, but how do you keep it fun along the way?
Well, you know me, I do know how to have fun.
Yeah, you do.
As they say, work hard, play hard.
Yeah.
And limit the play hard.
Right.
However, but it is something that you just learn to really know how to. Well, and the other thing, Brad, is there are some people that as far as celebrating and enjoying, they have different ways of doing it. So everybody in my inner circle, there are 3 that we get together on a regular basis. And then there are a couple others that basically is one-on-one. They don't like, they're very much a one-on-one type of person and not a group type of person. So,
Right.
So, and then it's just, for instance, we're here at the Cumberland Club.
Right.
So coming here and having dinner. Have actually 2 of my inner circle have been to my house in Palm Springs, where we've actually had more of a retreat type of environment. So we really had time one-on-one where we could really just spend time together and not have disruptions of being in a facility like this, or in a bar, or in an office.
Right. So. John, I just learned something. Finding ways with those people who are in your core group, who you really relish spending time with, finding ways to make sure it's really significant for them too, and that it's a piece that you're creating an environment and kind of a structure to whatever that time is, that they're going to look forward to it as well. They're really going to enjoy it. So, my head was jumping to like spending time together with my 5 people. Absolutely. And you just are like, well, no, because some of them it's a one-on-one thing.
Absolutely.
Some of them it's a, hey, let's get away, let's find a special environment thing. And really taking the reins of that in those relationships, because I find that when I spend more time with the people who are core to my life, I'm growing, they're growing, the business is growing, we're developing as leaders, so creating that environment ends up being so critical.
Absolutely.
I love it.
And one more thing, Brad, that, it's very important, your business, Knowles Development and coaching and training. However, we all need that.
Right.
What we also need is somebody that is just that true, you can have that heart-to-heart with, that it's a non-true professional relationship.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just need to be able to let your guard down and have that one-on-one and outside of having a very good coach.
Yeah, I love it. We're going to wrap it up here. And first off, thank you. Thank you for coming. Thank you, John. Really appreciate it. If you have any real estate needs, by the way, in anywhere, basically, the state of Maine and in the greater Orlando, Florida area, John Hatcher's team is here to help you. So really appreciate you taking the time. We've been able to work together for the better part of 16 years now. So really enjoy it. And we'll see you next time. Thanks so much for joining us on the Knowles Development Podcast. Bye-bye.